Everybody for joining. My name is Noortje. I am working for AVANS University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands, and I'm joining today here with Roman to give you some insights about the things that you need to prepare if you have applied at AVANS or are still considering to apply at AVANS, and what are the practical things that you need to be aware of and that you need to arrange in order to make your enrollment and your start in the Netherlands a success. If there's anything that comes to mind while I'm presenting, feel free to interrupt me, ask your questions, drop them in the chat. And also, Roman, if you see anything popping up that I'm missing while I'm presenting, just give me a heads up. Then let's get started with a brief introduction to AVANS University of Applied Sciences. We are based in the Netherlands, in the southern parts, in the province of Noord-Brabant. We have multiple campus cities. However, the cities Breda and 's-Hertogenbosch are the ones most relevant for international students because this is where we teach our English-style bachelor and master programs. We have 7 international degree programs, which we teach in English, so 5 bachelors and 2 masters, and they are part of one of the 21 schools or faculties that we have. We are a big university. As I said, we're based in 4 different campus cities, but we have over 13 different locations. We accommodate over 35,000 students at the moment, and the majority of them are Dutch. However, we have a small but very close-knit international community of a little under 1,000 international students, making up for 80 different nationalities. Every year, we also welcome a big group of students that come study for 1 semester or for 1 year as part of their exchange program. So that makes it a nice and international group of students, and also offers you an interesting opportunity to explore studying in a different country and in a different culture as part of your curriculum at AVANS, because we have over 250 international partners based in 50 different countries. Also, what is good to mention is, of course, the rankings of the universities, especially when you're looking for a university abroad. It can be difficult to figure out what is a good university and how should you look at that information. If you look at the worldwide rankings, for instance, the QS World Ranking or the Times Higher Ranking, you will notice that you won't find any Dutch universities of applied sciences. And the reason for this is that the most important factor in those rankings is academic or scientific research. And at AVANS University of Applied Sciences, we focus on preparing students for the professional field. So also our research efforts mainly focus on professional research to support the professional field. So that's why we won't be counted in those world rankings. However, we do have our own domestic ranking or national ranking for all the applied sciences universities in the Netherlands. And what is more important about this ranking is that it looks into a few important factors that are especially relevant for students that are choosing or have chosen a university to study in the Netherlands. Here you see that there's an official ranking committee that looks, of course, into the course design, the facilities, and also how competent the teaching and the support staff is. But more importantly, the ranking revolves around the feedback from our current students, so students that are in the study programs at the moment, an evaluation of our alumni, so students that have completed a study at the university already, and even the satisfaction of the employers, so the companies that have hired our graduates after graduation. So this ranking really says something about how satisfied and how the students and alumni perceive their experience at AVANS. And we are very proud to say that we have been named the best large university of applied sciences in the Netherlands for the past 10 years. So we work very hard to keep up with that position, of course. However, it's safe to say if you're considering studying in the Netherlands, you really can't go wrong in choosing a university. You get a very good quality of education for an affordable rate. So if you find a program that speaks to you in a university that speaks to you, then really you will be sure to get good quality education in the Netherlands. Some footage about our campuses. As I said, we have multiple campuses. Depending on the study program that you choose, you will be based either in Breda or in 's-Hertogenbosch. And in those cities, you will most likely take all your classes within one and the same buildings. There are multiple buildings in each city. So if By exception, you will need to commute between one and the other building. It's only going to be a short walk or a short bike ride away. But as I said, normally you will be based in one campus for the majority of your classes. So more facilities in all the campus cities and in all the campus locations. You get access to great facilities as a student. There's workspaces where you can work together with your fellow students, but also individual spaces if you need to prepare for exams. There's canteens in every building for a cup of coffee and a snack, but also if you want to get a warm meal because you need to pull an all-nighter in the library, that's also possible. If you're going to get fed up with a regular coffee in the canteen, we have our own Starbucks cafe and all the other facilities that you need to succeed in your studies and have a great time while doing it. A few reasons to consider studying at AVANS: our international focus, our practice-based education, and our personal approach. We're a big university with international focus. We mean that we don't only teach you in English and prepare you for an international professional field, but you will be part of an international community with students and staff from all over the world. Practice-based education: in every study program that we offer, we have incorporated semesters where you gain real-life experience by doing work placements and graduation internships and doing projects for real-life companies right from the start of your study program. Our personal approach is embedded in the contact between the students and the lecturers, but also between students and staff. We aim to support you to the best of our abilities, both within the academic sphere, but also on a more personal or social level. So if there's any issues or you run into any problems while you're studying, then there's always support available for you. Within the study programs, every student gets assigned a personal mentor. And this person is your first contact in case you need any support or have any queries. Also good to know in general, the contact between students and staff or students and lecturers is very informal. You're often on a first name basis with your lecturers. They're easily accessible. You can just find them in their office, schedule a meeting. So as I said, it's a very informal and friendly environment for students. International focus, indeed, like I already mentioned, a lot of projects are centering around international organizations or internationally operating companies. So we really help you prepare for the international professional fields. Same goes for the practice-based education. In total, if you study for 4 years, there's 1 year dedicated to getting this practical experience by doing internships and graduation. And this is just an example of the companies that you can think of. But as a student, you're free to pursue an internship or a graduation internship at a company that you aspire working for. Then the personal approach, as I said, it's very informal, and you see also the quotes from the students that really enjoyed their contact with the lecturers being so open and transparent, and the teachers being available in case of any support needed. I'm not going to dive into the programs in detail today, but I can, of course, mention the portfolio that we have. We have environmental science for sustainable energy and technology, industrial engineering and management. We have finance and control, and we have 2 international business programs in 2 different campus cities. So environmental science has its origin in natural courses or natural sciences, I must say, such as ecology, biology, geography, chemistry. But you don't study these courses in a traditional way, but you learn how to apply them on environmental issues. So this program is really for students that take an interest in, preserving the planet for future generations. Industrial engineering and management is for students that take an interest in the technological part, but don't want to study like a hardcore engineering program, because this is a very interesting combination between engineering on the one hand and management on the other hand, where you actually get to align the collaboration engineers carrying out engineering processes on the work floor and the more strategic and tactical decisions that need to be made on the management level. The business programs finance and control for those students that take an interest in the financial aspects of doing business on an international level. And international business in itself covers a broader scope of courses, so not focusing only on finance, but also marketing, sales, communication, all the things that you need in order to be able to successfully do business on an international scale. Be aware that those international business programs are two very different programs in essence, so it's not simply the same program in a different location. If you are thinking of studying international business, I highly recommend you to look into both programs and see what is the best fit for you. Content-wise, there's overlap because, of course, it's an international business program. However, the way of teaching and the way that you will be working together with your fellow students and your lecturers is very different in one from another program. So keep that in mind and explore the differences to find out what is the best match for you. Okay, so why are we here today? To have a closer look at the practical information that you need to think of or be aware of if you are thinking of studying in the Netherlands, and more specifically studying at AVANS, University of Applied Sciences. So fees is a very important aspect, of course. If you want to study at AVANS or at a public university in the Netherlands with an open program, the tuition fees for 2022 are set on €209 for one academic year, so for the full first year. If you enroll in a public university in a bachelor program for the first time, you will receive a 50% discount on your fees. So the first year you only pay half. In the second, the third, and the fourth year, you pay the full amount. If you are a non-EU citizen, so if you don't have an EU passport citizenship, then the tuition fees are higher. You pay €8,452 for one academic year. The reason for this difference is that the university receives funding from the European Union for all EU citizens that study. However, the same funding does not apply, unfortunately, to the non-EU students, so we cannot apply the same discount on the fees there. To give you an example for cost of living in the Netherlands, you need to think of housing, so your rent, anything between €375 and €600 a month for a student room. You need insurance if you want to take a side job, for instance, in the Netherlands. It's compulsory to have Dutch health insurance. Groceries, to give you an estimation, depends a little bit on your lifestyle, of course. There are a few options to get financial support from the Dutch government. There's a loan system, so it's not a scholarship or a gift, but you can apply for a student loan. And this means that you get a monthly allowance on your bank account with which you can cover either your living expenses or your tuition fee expenses. It's up to you. However, you will have to pay this back after graduation, but the conditions are relatively mild, meaning that you have 2 years after graduation to find a job, start earning an income, and then you have 30 years to pay back the full amount. Interest rate is relatively low, especially compared to regular loans from a bank, of course. So that's an option that you have. You don't have to take it out. You can also take it out for part of your studies and then stop later on, or start without it and then apply for it later. There's flexibility there, and it really depends on your situation, whether or not you want to make use of this option. The second part is called student finance. This is or can be converted into a gift if you graduate from your study program within 10 years after starting. Now that is something that most students will actually manage. However, there's an additional criteria that you need to meet in order to qualify for the student finance. And this means that you need to work for 56 hours on a monthly basis consistently to qualify for this top-up student finance grant. So taking on a side job next to your studies, it's definitely an option. But 56 hours puts quite some pressure on your schedule, as you're already going to have a full-time workload for your study. So it's not impossible, but again, I won't recommend it to first-year students to meet this additional criteria for finance. Of course, you can take on a student job, but then work a bit less hours on a weekly basis and still have some more financial space. But again, it's an individual decision that you decide whether or not you want to benefit from. Okay, application deadlines. One deadline has already passed. This is the application deadline for non-EU students. They have to apply by 1st of June. This also has to do with the visa application procedure that needs to be put in place, and that takes quite some time. But EU students, they can still apply, but the deadline is August 1st. And we highly recommend you to, if you have made up your mind, to put in your application as soon as possible, because this gives you more time and more space, and not only you, but also the admission office to review your application and the required documents. Even if you are not 100% sure yet about whether you want to apply or whether you want to pursue the application at AVANS, there's no fees involved for applying. There's no fees involved if you cancel your application. And even if you, apply now and you see through the full procedure and you get accepted, the first payment for tuition fees is only scheduled by the time that you're actually in the university. So by the end of September, the first payment needs to be made. So keep that in mind if that is one of the concerns on your mind. So the application procedure in 6 steps. First step is the registration online via StudyLink independent, where you want to study in the Netherlands, whether it's at AVANS or another university. You will always need to start with a registration in StudyLink. Here you put in your personal information about your pre-education, and you also select the university and the study program that you want to apply for. Hopefully, of course, it's going to be a study program at AVANS. And if that's the case, we will get a notification that you have applied for one of our programs, or maybe more, because you can apply for multiple programs at the same time. But then we will get in touch and ask you to upload the required documents. There is a special application page where you can submit the documents that are required, such as your diploma, your grades list, and more information about your identity. Based on that information, we do a first initial check to see if you meet the admission requirements for the study program. If that is the case, then we will invite you for our mandatory online intake assessment and an interview. It's mandatory to take part in this procedure. However, it's not an exam or an entry test. It's really meant for us to get to know you a little bit better, learn more about your motivation and what you hope to achieve with the study program. And based on that, we can give you an advice or recommendation whether we think this is going to be the right choice for you. However, if you get the recommendation that we think the program is not the right fit for you, then you can still carry on with the application if you are still convinced that this is the right program for you. After that, practical preparation starts. So you need to look for accommodation, you need to figure out if you need insurance and some other stuff that is important, but some stuff that you can only arrange upon arrival to the Netherlands. So that is why the International Office has special introduction days organized for international students at AVANS University to help you settle in and make these final arrangements, such as your registration at City Hall. You might need a Dutch bank account, you might need a bike, all those things that you want to get sorted before the academic year starts to ensure a smooth start of your studies. That's what you do during those introduction days. And then you are ready to start studying, enjoying student life in the Netherlands. Housing, very important. The university does offer accommodation to new incoming first-year international students. However, there's always less rooms than new incoming international students. So that means that the rooms are allocated on a first-come, first-served basis. Depending on the study program that you have applied for, they will get in touch with you and ask you whether you want to be eligible for accommodation via the university, or you are asked to show your interest by yourself by sending an email to the faculty. So it's already important that you figure out if you need to take a proactive approach by sending an email, or that you will receive a form where you can indicate your interest. Normally, after this first inventory, the university knows how many students want to apply for a room. And then in early July, we give access to an online booking platform where students can see the available rooms and make a reservation for the specific room that they want to get. As I said, it's allocated on a first come first served basis. Multiple students get access to this online booking platform at the same time. So sometimes it happens that the rooms are rented out very, very quickly. So I would definitely be sure to be ready by the time that the platform opens. And also if it happens that you access the platform and the rooms are already rented out, you will have to look for accommodation on your own, which is very challenging at the moment. In whole of the Netherlands, there's a shortage for student accommodation. So it's very tricky, and especially when you are not in the Netherlands yet, very difficult to get a room organized for yourself to start your study. So I understand it's a concern. The international office is there to give you guidance if you need to look for accommodation on your own, where to go, what are reliable parties, but it's your own responsibility, so to say. And I would definitely recommend, if you cannot get your accommodation sorted before the start of the academic year, you really want to reconsider whether or not you want to come over to the Netherlands to start your studies. Because yeah, it's a very rough start of your studies if you're in the Netherlands and you don't have a place to stay yet. It's not meant to scare you away, not at all, but I can imagine it is a bit scary because it's also a combination of luck and being proactive. But yeah, it is really something that you need to address and be on top of if you want to make this a success. Okay, some other practical information session that is scheduled by the university is the information session on June 21st. This information session is organized for all students that already have submitted an application at AVANS. If you did, you will get an email invitation this week, or you might have already received one last week and you will receive a reminder. There's a special session hosted by the colleagues of the international office. They start at 7 p.m. and they talk about their introduction days, the schedule, and more information about housing, because they're the ones actually involved in the housing allocation within the university. More detailed information about insurance, a visa procedure, if it applies to you. So keep that in mind. This is followed by program-specific sessions that start at 7:30. This is organized by the faculties or the academies that are responsible for your study program, and they will talk about schedules, the start of the academic year, if you need a certain book list or if you need certain devices for your studies. This will all be addressed in those program-specific sessions. As I said, an email invitation should already be in your mailbox. If you have applied, is that of course. If you didn't apply yet, then you cannot sign up for this info session. If you're deciding to apply now, between now and the info session, you will find my contact details at the end of this presentation. Be sure to drop me an email and I will make sure that you get access to this session as well. Also good to know, but we're coming down to it, the start of the academic year this year in the Netherlands is on August 29. This is the start of the academic year. However, you need to be in the Netherlands a week before for the practical introduction hosted by the international office. A few things that are important, you see here on the left-hand side, at least for me, it's the left-hand side. The steps that you need to take to come to a successful enrollment. So first off, of course, is applying and sending the required documents, completing the intake that I mentioned, arranging financial matters. And with financial matters, I mean that you need to submit your payment details in StudyLink in order to give the university permission to deduct the tuition fees for your study program in September, but it's prerequisites that you need to meet in order to get your enrollment completed, but also financial matters, of course, to make sure that you can maintain yourself upon arrival in the Netherlands. If you want to apply for the student loan or the tuition fee loan, you can only apply after you have been fully accepted by the university, and the moment between applying for the financial support and receiving it may take up to 3 months. So bear in mind that it takes a little while before you actually receive the first payment if you qualify for it. Arrange accommodation, very important, be on top of it. Arrange insurance, figure out if your insurance back home has sufficient coverage. If you're going to live in the Netherlands, be aware that a travel insurance or a temporary insurance is not going to be sufficient because you're going to spend more than 90 days, which is the regular coverage normally for travel insurance in the Netherlands. So you need a specific coverage to make sure that you don't get in any troubles in the Netherlands. However, if your insurance back home doesn't cover it, no worries. There are special student insurances to be taken out, also with guidance and support from the international office. This is also a topic that they will address in the session on June 21st. There's information on the website. And of course, if it comes up later on, they're more than happy to help you if you send them an email. And arrange a visa and a residence permit. This only applies to students that have a non-EU citizenship, and if you are a non-EU student, it also means that you need to take an additional interview to see if you have the right motivation, and this motivational interview is binding. So if after this interview for the visa and residence permit application, they say you don't have the right motivation, you don't qualify, your application can still be terminated by AVANS, and it means that you won't enroll in the study program of your choice. The introduction days, I named them already a few times. It's the week before the academic year starts, so from August 22nd to August 24. This is specifically for all students that are coming from abroad to live and study in the Netherlands for the first time. And these days, the international office is responsible for welcoming you, helping you, guiding you, setting you up for a smooth start of the academic year. They address everything that is not related to your studies. So that means that it's about housing, insurance, getting a bike, finding your way with City Hall because you need to register there, finding your way if you need to get a doctor or a dentist. And of course, there's also time for a little bit of fun. So you will gather together with all the other international new incoming students for some social activities. Depending on the city and the program where you have applied, you will have a different schedule. There are some joint activities for all the students altogether, such as the social activities, but there are also separate sessions for students in the city of Breda and the students of 's-Hertogenbosch. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have a full program for all days. It can vary a little bit, but the international office will send you the final schedule relevant for you over the summer. Then bear in mind that the actual start of the academic year is August 29th. And these are the days where you actually start with your first classes. And then the second part of the week of the 22nd of August, there might already be some social activities organized by your study program as well. So bear in mind, around or before the 22nd of August, you need to be physically present in the Netherlands to start with the practicalities of studying at AVANS. Okay, if there's anything that I've explained that sparks any questions, I'm here now. So feel free to drop any questions that you may have in the chat or speak up via your mic. That's also fine. If there's anything that comes to mind later on, these are the ways to get in touch with us and the international office. If you have practical questions that are not related to your study, so nothing about books or schedules or exams, because this is what I mean with study-related information, and that information is within the faculty. So if you want to know more about that, then you need to reach out to the faculty that you have applied with. If you want to get in touch with our student ambassadors, we have a nice crew of students currently studying at AVANS. They already have some experience in the university. They already have some experience with finding accommodation in the city. They have a small profile on the website, so you can also drop them an email or look them up on social media and ask them for any tips or tricks or recommendations if you are struggling with finding a room. It's not an airtight system, but you never know if they might have the golden tip for you. And if you want to read more in general about the university, the focus, the programs, how we operate, we have this e-magazine available that you can look into at any time. And of course, I remain available for your assistance as well. I have a very lovely coworker. Her name is Shen. You also see her contact details here. So you can either get in touch with me, Noortje, or with my colleague Shen, and we're more than happy to assist to the best of our abilities, of course. So if there's anything I can still help you with, I would say now is the time.